And thank you so much. Welcome back to another episode of Pivotal Moment. I am beyond excited and honored to have my guest here today. She is retired Rear Admiral Annie B. Andrews. She now goes by Admiral Annie, which is a new name for a new enterprise since she has retired that will help our leaders today do so many of the things that they want to do. Welcome, Admiral Annie.
Thank you so much, Nikita. It's great to be here.
You have such an extensive bio. I am going to include it in our show notes, an abbreviated form, but that you can see all of what Admiral Annie has done. But I want to ask her a few questions here on Pivotal Moment today. It's just an extraordinary pleasure to have her. So you recently retired, as we said at the top of the show, after 32 years in the United States Navy. And for the last 7 years prior to your retirement, you were the Assistant Administrator for Human Resource Management at the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. There, you were responsible for nearly 45,000 federal personnel across the nation. The mission there, Admiral Annie, was we take care of the people who make it safe to fly. So, give us an idea. I want to talk later about what we're doing now, but I want to talk also about the historic impact that you've had, the third African American Rear Admiral in the US Navy. I have her on the show today. Tell me what a typical day was like for you those last 7 years, Admiral Annie.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was a pleasure after retiring from the Navy to actually go and work for the Federal Aviation Administration. It was a phenomenal, I would say, transition because it was really still always about people. My mantra when I was at the FAA was people first, mission always, and you matter. And
Mm.
really, a lot of those things were some of the things I still did while I was actually in the US Navy, because it was all about working with people. So I worked on the strategic partnership as the assistant administrator for human resource management. So that gave me the opportunity to do what I love so much, and that's work with our greatest resources, which are people. So on a typical day, I would make sure that I would meet with my directors, making sure, of course, I meet and connect with my boss, as well as the customers at the FAA that we serve each and every day. Making sure that they have the training, the non technical training that we offer, making sure their pay and performances are certainly up to date, ensuring that the talents that they have are used when we're recruiting and getting special people, especially those that are highly needed, like our air traffic controllers, like our aviation maintenance, like our engineers, like our administrative. It was like a city all in one because you wanted to make sure that you have all the right people to carry out such an important mission as keeping the national naval air airspace definitely safe.
And I got to tell you, that is no small task. It's like a city, as you said, and you got to have all the people in the right places to do the right thing so everything is flowing, right? And I love the people first, mission always, and you matter. Awesome. I love that. And let me ask, because I'm certain that that helped in your role and as you move forward now. And as I mentioned earlier, you're only the third African American woman in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, to achieve the rank of Rear Admiral. And you led efforts to enhance the FAA's workforce through diversity recruitment efforts, which uh, are always a part of moving this country forward. And I thank you for that, and thank you for your service in that area as well. And what is the U.S. Navy, as a result of those efforts and others, doing to reach and connect specifically with African American women to be more visible as a desired option, both as a career and even as a lifestyle?
Thank you for that question. One of my last jobs was the commander of Navy Recruiting Command, which that means that I took care of all the hiring for all of the US Navy. So that means whether they came in as enlisted or officer, whether they became a Navy SEAL or electronics, whether they worked on aircraft, ships, submarines, it was, or even shore duty. It was just great to have that job. So a lot of the times too, just being out there, having that position, I had a chance to see America at its best and to
Wow.
meet the young talents that will become, a part of the U.S. Navy and any military in that fact, but definitely, of course, recruiting for the Navy at that time. But I will tell you, the Navy continues to promote and they continue to support our women. Because when I came in over 32 years ago, a lot of the fields were not open to women. And so one of my jobs was to make sure that we get women and get all that are bright, making sure that they're talented, making sure that they are the best to serve in our military forces. I am proud to say today, so when I retired back in 2015, the work was there to again increase women in those underrepresented fields. So rather they're in, because most of the time women were in either administrative or medical field, but we
Mhm.
have people now doing so many things from flying aircrafts to being on nuclear subs. So I would say, so after that, the recruitment, as in 2021, for the first time in the US Navy history, there were 4 women of color that commanded, that can actually commanded some of our most important and lethal weapons. They were actually commanding officers of these big, bad, and I'll tell you, ships. So it was really good because these were surface warfare officers, nuclear females that handled these battleships. And that was just amazing. And another thing I would say, just most recently, the Navy has put in charge of one of its largest naval station in the world, which is the Norfolk base station. And they have actually put in Captain Janet Days, who is now the commanding officer. And that is an amazing job. You're
Wow.
talking about it is a 7/24 operations, and you have to make sure that everything's intact, including safety, the operational aspect of the ships, aircrafts, and subs
Mhm.
that's there. And I think that is just great. So the Navy is moving forward in promoting their women and giving them the opportunity to excel. And for that, I am truly grateful.
Amen. I am grateful for you for setting the bar so high and for showing that it can be done
Thank
and for
you.
showing that leadership matters and that women, even and especially, I should say, women of color can do this and can do it well, exceptionally well. And so I just think that's a wonderful thing, not only for the Navy to do, but for people to see. So thank you again for that. And
Thank you.
so I know a lot of your leadership has resulted in a number of awards. It will take a whole day for me to read them all. But I want to just ask you, because you are the recipient of so many awards for leadership, for excellence, for achievements, you sit on boards, local and national. Do you think that there is a particular award or accolade that stands out as like particularly significant?
When I think about it, everything that I've achieved is really not just achieved alone. It
Right.
was because of the efforts of so many people that supported me and was there. So when I look at the achievements and the awards, I'm just grateful for those that helped me and was under my leadership so that we can make it. So it's more of a team award. Although I may have been awarded, I never forget the people that supported me so well. But one of the things that I really enjoy doing now is still continuing to serve. There's more things to do. So,
Right.
what I really am liking and working on is things that we can do to help the community. So, that's my next engagement of things. Because one of the groups that I work with, and you mentioned I sit on boards, I'm also on a lot of committees, I'm also on in a foundation. And with this foundation, what we do is working on things that would help our next generation. So there are
Mhm.
4 particular areas.
Okay.
One in particular is childhood hunger, making sure that we can have power pack each week of school, at least to give to them on the weekends so that our children will be fed and have things for them to do. Because we want them to be able to be educated and to be able to listen in school, and we have to start there. Another program, after you feed, let's say, the children,
Yeah.
and as they continue to grow, to work with children between the ages of, I would say, 10 to 12 years old.
Mhm.
And those are usually our developmental age. So
Yeah.
we feed them, make sure that we can give them the tools and let them start thinking and leading on their own, in our youth leadership program. So hopefully sometime this summer, we will have a program where we invite, some of these leaders and business owners and career, whether it's in law enforcement or military or in
Yes.
medical, but have people to come in and talk to our youth so that they know they have opportunities themselves to excel, to be a fireman, to be a chemist, to fly planes, but to give them an opportunity to see who they could be and
Wow.
what that's all about. Two other programs that fall on it that I'm working on that gives me so much joy is also working with our elders. So see, you see the connection. You have the young children, you have the teenagers, and you also have making sure that as they grow and develop, we don't forget about them as they become more seasoned in their age. So we want to make sure that they're able to get out to vote, that they're able to do things. They may not able to go and get groceries. So all that is wonderful. And topping those things are also working in the field with mental health, making sure that they're educated at all across the board, because it's so many things. And I know in the military, a lot of times you have post-traumatic, stress disorders,
Mhm.
and you have even those among the children and the family members that they leave. And
Mhm.
it's just something that you see and hear about so much. So the team is just trying to educate them and make sure, because you hear so many things that are going on, and we want to be able to help the community.
You know what? People can live their whole lives and not do half of what you are doing or what you are planning to do. And we need that. Our children, our teens, our elders, mental health, it is all so important. And all of it together helps to elevate us as a community, right? To do the things
Yes.
that we need to do, as you said, and to help one another along the way. And I feel that's what you're doing. And so, this show, Admiral Annie, is called Pivotal Moment, as you know. And so we asked guests about the moment that changed it all, right? The moment that took them from where they were to where they wanted to be. And particularly the moment that really stands out as the biggest game changer. Was there a pivotal moment for you?
As I think about that pivotal moment, I have to look back on my career and my life thus far. And I think it's because of the experience, the knowledge, the things that I have seen, or the things that I have witnessed or have helped people through, have made that pivotal moment that after I retired, let's say now twice, that I still have room to do more. So for me, the pivotal moment is to know that I can help others. So my desire is to encourage, empower, and elevate.
Mm.
So I think that's what I think is important now to do. So that's my pivotal moment, taking from what I know and then helping others to be their best of what they desire to be in the future.
Okay, and so this is perfect. This is setting us up, ladies and gentlemen, for what I'm about to tell you. So if you're already sitting, good. If you're not, sit down. Because now Admiral Annie has launched into the next season, the next chapter, the next step of her journey. And it's going to help others, as we've been talking about, to see that things can be done. Whether you're a teen or an elder, or you are in the second phase of your career, how to cultivate those leadership skills, how to position yourself for the things that will help you to elevate others. And I know you have done that through, or you're starting to do that actually through Andrews Consulting Enterprise as Admiral Annie. So tell me a little bit about that, what that looks like, what that's going to be, and how it's going to help other people.
Thank you so much, Nikita. Well, I'll tell you, yes, after being retired twice, I still have what I call the fire in the belly. That means that there's still things that are stirring around and saying that, hey, you still had life in you, live it and enjoy. So
Mhm.
yes, kicking off Andrew's Consulting Enterprise LLC, which again will help people. But I want to help everybody, but I know that we just can't. So what I'm looking at is to help those that are struggle with self-esteem, helping those that really struggle and feel that they have lack of self-confidence, and
Mhm.
also to make sure that we help those that they really want to be in places and sometimes they find themselves that they're not at the table, that they're in the
Mhm.
back of the room, and they know that they have the knowledge and the fortitude to sit at the table, but what's keeping them there?
Right.
So mine is working and helping, I would say women in particular, women over 40, because I think that sometimes they think that, oh my gosh, at least I got my kids through school. I want to go back and get my education, or maybe I have time to do things. I
Then-
say that they have time and I want to help them find their gift.
Ooh, amen for that. Not only to find the gift, as you said, and finding the time to do it. Because sometimes you think I got to do this, then I got to do this, and then I got to do that, like it's linear. But there's a way to not necessarily have it all, but to work toward it all, right? And I feel like
Yes.
that's what you're giving people the opportunity, women in particular, to do. So tell me how this venture allows you to put into practice all your wisdom, your skills, your training, and your leadership. How does that convert here?
Well, what I have seen is that you take your experience, your journey, and we all have a story to tell. So I start looking at maybe what are the struggles that I've had. And
Mhm.
definitely with me being an introvert, I mean, with a capital I.
No,
Yes,
Admiral
I
Annie, you are
am.
not.
Yes, I am. I mean, it's like a capital I for introvert. But I look at my experience, and most people wouldn't think that I am because
Oh,
I'm still out there and I like and really enjoy sincerely talking with people and being there. And whether I was in the military or at the FAA, walking around and seeing what people do each and every day. So I believe with me, I can take what I'm sure a lot of people out there are introvert as well, but I can take that side and say what it's like to be in a very loud world, that we can still survive, we can still strive, and we can do more. So I want to help people see some of the things that I have gone through on my journey and know that they can do even much more on theirs. Like I've seen where I've had to handle, conflict resolution,
yeah.
where sometimes there was a struggle and it's like, okay, should I say anything or should I just wait? And knowing that you have the response and answer, just say it. I always say, and I always tell women about the three S's. When you have the opportunity, sit up, speak up, or stand up,
Ooh.
at the appropriate time, of course. And I want people to go out and lose their jobs by just what I said, but there have to be a mechanism to this and to know when to do so.
Oh my goodness, that was funny. Wait, hold on. Well, Admiral Annie told me.
Yes.
So I love that sit up, speak up, or stand up.
Yes.
One of those three things. Oh, that's powerful. This is like an executive coaching session right now. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm honestly cannot believe that you're an introvert. I mean, we've had conversations and I would have never, ever gotten that.
Yes.
Um, but you know what? I think that speaks to the strength of character and the strength of purpose and of will, positioning yourself to do the things that perhaps aren't comfortable, but you make them so. And I feel like that's what you may be able to do for others in this capacity, or at least one of the goals. And so, what is the ultimate goal actually of the program? Because there are so many things and facets to you, so much that you've done. I mean, how or what about this particular program and consulting, if you will, this enterprise makes it different or unique, really, as your own?
Thank you. I think what's happening and what I like to see is that, and that's why I said, although I would like to help everybody, I have to really select for a particular group. I enjoy working with men and women. Of course, I've been in many places where it was predominantly male, and I was sometimes the only female or the person of color. But what I like to do is work with women over 40 because I believe that that's where it's a turning point in their life.
Mm.
You know, whether their children are out of school or already established, it's now time for them to pick up from where they may have left off, or if they're already in the workplace and the environment, what they can do to reach the next step. So I look at it as that everybody, if you're born into this world, you're
Mhm.
born, that's a gift.
Amen.
And with your gift, how are you going to use the gift you have? And sometime by doing this is working with people and help them to know what is it that they have. So since you're born, you know, into the world, what now are you going? What's your gift? Let's develop that. Let's see what it is that you can give to the world while you're here and what you can leave. And sometimes this is what you leave as your legacy. What is your legacy for your family? So I like asking that question. What is your gift and what is your legacy for the future?
Ooh, that's a wonderful start. I love that because it forces you to think about your end game and your current stats, right? So
Yes,
what is it that you want? Where is it you're going? Because what is the vision? Without a vision, the people perish, right? So
yes,
you're helping people to identify what that vision is, and we need that so much. Because the world tells you one thing, but listening to your soul and the divine father, for me anyway, is
yes.
going to point you in the right direction, I feel. And I feel like you're his vessel, helping people to do that. So I'm gonna sign up. So all you people have to wait after me. So let me ask you this, Admiral Annie, what has been the most challenging part of this transition into this new step? And what's the most rewarding part?
Well, let me say this. This is right now, I would say, the most challenging part in so many ways, the social media aspect. So I just want to say, Nikita, thank you so much for this opportunity. And
Yes.
while again, so you still have that introvert side, but I know that I can work and deal with it.
Yeah.
So the challenge, of course, is getting on all these social media, the podcasts and things, but this is going to help me launch that and get a really fresh start. So that I would say would be the challenge. But what is really great is that people have already told me, look, we want to hear your story.
Yeah.
We want to know your journey because all of us have a journey.
Yes.
So I figured by sharing that, and many have told me they can't wait to join, can't wait to be a part of it, whether in consultation or coaching or public speaking. They want to hear me. So I said that challenge, I can just really just go ahead and put myself out there. Because a lot of times when you go on social media, I notice things are on there that I've never put on there. So I said, if they can be put it on there, I just as well go ahead and do that myself. So I'm learning a lot.
Know what, Irma Annie, I gotta tell you, I love not only the approach but the spirit in which you do it. Because you gotta learn, but you gotta also be engaged in the process and have some fun with it. And I feel like you
Yes.
combine that, like excellence with engagement, with a sprinkle of humor underneath that introvert, which I still don't believe. No, but I do believe it. I do believe it. But I gotta tell you, there's a space and a place for this. And I feel that. And whether you do a TED talk, whether you're talking at a commencement address or doing individual coaching or as a group, there's just so much power in what you're saying. And so I just know this is going to be phenomenal. And so that brings me to my next question about success and how you measure it or what will indicate to you that, yes, this is working.
I think the measure of success will probably come from the people that I work with.
Yeah.
So perhaps their testimonies.
Mhm.
After once they talk about their achievements, when they come back to me and tell me that they've gotten that promotion or they were able to speak up and got a chance to present what they needed to, when they were able to actually get that promotion and also brought in money, that's a successful story. And even that, when they know that they have made a change or found their gift that they didn't know they had, that
Mm.
they said, wow, I do have something to offer the world. I do have something to offer my family. I don't have to sit back, but I can now be upfront about it. So I think that's what measures success. If I can make a change, and that's even to help even one person, that would make a difference for me.
I hope you are listening and taking notes. There's going to be a long line, Admiral Annie. I'm telling you, I'm telling you. I am so glad to be listening to this. I mean, I feel like I can get up and run around, and I'm not even a runner, but I feel like like motivated right now. So let me ask you this: what are the similarities between what you've done in your career in the Navy and what you're going to be doing now in the lives of others?
The similarity I see is that, and working with the most important resources, and that's people,
Mm-hmm.
not things, but people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you still have to make sure that we take care of them.
Yes.
And when we take care of the people, they will make these processes and procedures. They will handle the technical. They will handle so many things that's in front of them to do. So I always think it's important to, and I've always did, to recognize people, to
Mm.
award people, to let them know that they are important. And when I mentioned about You Matter in particular was about my own team because that's my job to make sure that the people I'm working with, the people that will work for me, is taken care of.
Yeah.
Because I know they will do a phenomenal job if they are recognized, awarded, and making sure that we give them what is needed for them to be successful as well.
How lucky they are to have had you as a guide, you know, those who have come under you and have learned from you. They're like Admiral Annie approved. That's like the new stamp. And so when you do the consulting, that will be the stamp that we put on people. So now let me ask you, because there is this body of work that defines you in many ways. There are all these accolades and achievements that you've achieved along the way. Is there anything, Admiral Annie, that you know now that you wish you had known sooner?
I would say the one thing that I wish I had known much early on in my career as a young officer is the networking and mentoring. Sometimes you feel as though that you're the only person in that place, and who do you go to?
Mhm.
So I think if there was a program of mentoring and taking a young person in and leading them on and telling them what they can do and motivating them and encouraging them, I
Mhm.
think it could have changed a lot of things. So what I learned from that is that because I may not have seen that in my career in the beginning, I made that a part of what we do as I grew in rank.
Wow.
And so, in one of the communities I was in, certainly the human resource community, is that because it's also about people, we learn and make sure that the next ones that are coming in and taking our places have that mentorship, have the opportunity to network. And I can tell you with social media now, it is just phenomenal. I don't know who's going to come up with after Facebook, handbook, iBook, I'm not sure. But whatever they're going to come up with, it is just going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed too, through that and through social media, I've had friends reached out to me, whether they were when I was stationed in the Philippines or stationed in Keflavik, Iceland. I mean, through the media, people keep up with you around the nation and around the world. So I think that networking is great. And then just imagine if you can put a group of people of thought thinking people, thought leaders, male and female together, and just think about the likeness they may have. I think it's just great. And they can change a world, they can change an opportunity and make a difference. And just imagine that when you put a group of women together,
Right.
strong thinkers, with thinkers and knows that they can either become what they can. I just think that's powerful.
Mm.
So, mentoring and networking, I think, are the most greatest things to encourage people and to support them.
Amen for that. Those are game changers, mentoring and networking. The power of social media is incredible, connecting us all to one another. And we have to thank Dr. Kelly Elmore for connecting us,
Yes.
because there is so much connectivity that can propel you or at least position you in ways that you did not even know. And I feel like what you're doing is going to help people to identify those things and identify those opportunities and connect people to each other. So when we're talking about pivoting, as you have done and are doing, and what you're going to do for others in this second chapter, what's the most important part about pivoting as you are doing it yourself?
the most important part about pivoting is being flexible.
Mm.
We got to make sure that, everybody needs are not the same. And there's no cookie cutter approach to things. We have to be able to, what I like to call the 3 L's: listen, lead, and learn about one another. And that's going to give us the opportunity to help individuals, because it's not like we know it all, but we can bring out that, I would say, that gemstone, that
Yeah.
that pearl that can actually help them do things better. But also, we have to be consistent and persistent in our pursuit, because there's many times that we have to deal with life changes, family loss,
Mhm.
divorce, empty nesters, whatever the change may be in our life. I think that we have to make sure that we remain flexible, but yet know when to be consistent and to be persistent in the pursuit of our own internal happiness.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was like a mini TED Talk. So I was trying to write down while you were talking. I'm gonna go back and listen to all of this because that persistence is something that is hard to maintain. And even when you have incentive and inspiration, you can lose sight of that. The world can distract you. Even good things can move you. And so I feel like what you're doing is helping people to center and to focus forward. And we really, truly, truly need that. And so I'm so thankful that you're doing that. And so I want to ask you about in the next, let's say, 5 years, because this is launching, this is kind of propelling others forward today. In 5 years, what do you think Admiral Annie, I want to keep saying Andrews because she's a retired Rear Admiral, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Um, but Admiral Annie, what would that look like in 5 years?
I've thought of that because it's great to just have this vision
Yeah.
of what I can see that may not be there today. So, one of the things is that I certainly think that financial literacy should
Oh.
also be a part of this. We want to make sure that we leave our families as wealthy as possible,
Mm.
in the making of it. So, I can see perhaps, teaming up and having that as a part of helping as people grow their business or grow their families.
Mm.
Another one I see is that helping people through grief and loss,
Ooh.
because we all experience that
Yeah.
in so many ways. And sometimes that holds us back. So I
Mm.
see maybe the business establishing and working with people, that have experience of that, because at some time or the other, we all have had losses. And sometimes the loss can be a family member, sometimes a loss can be a divorce,
Mhm.
or a parent or someone that's close to you. So something like that on how we can help. Another area I see that's really important is always on our physical
Mm.
and mental ability and our health. So our health are definitely important to us. And as we get older, we all struggle. I mean, I
Mhm.
was looking at a picture the other day of me when I was younger and I had more legs. Now I have more everything else except legs. So we understand that how those changes are. So we all have to make sure that we continue in our business, because we can get so busy with doing things that we continue with that. So I can see areas perhaps where that would be a growth in the organization. And of course, for women in particular, don't forget about our not internal, but our external beauty.
Amen.
So, working with beauty consultants so that when
Wow.
we're there to help us, sometime to remind us, massages are great,
Mm.
or going and getting, a whole lot of things that are wonderful. And
Self-care.
like for me, I may like use, light makeup or something like that. It just makes us so refreshing, and it brings out the jewel that we are.
Ooh, brings out the jewel that we are. I love that. I can see that like on a billboard or a book cover. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? A little foreshadowing there. It's so funny that you mentioned about, kind of as we get older, because I used to just like jump up and like move, and now I kind of jump up and I move a little slower. You know what I mean? I could just tell it a little bit, day by day. But honestly, bringing all those components together, I feel is kind of feeding the whole person. the mental, the emotional, the physical, and then bringing all these leaders together in beauty and self-care, even in grief and loss, as you mentioned. Those are all the stages we go through, right? And so
Yes.
I feel like you have thought of everything. You have left no stone unturned, Admiral Annie, and we thank you for that. And as you are helping others, is there something, or let me ask you this, is there someone that you'd like to work with or partner with in this new venture?
Well, I certainly hope through the efforts and time of getting to know people, and as I have my business and having the opportunity for others as well, I think it's just going to be phenomenal to have people in that network.
Yes.
I will tell you one that introduced us, Dr. Kelly Elmore. I would certainly like to work with one of the persons that have brought us together, and
Yes.
that's Dr. Kelly Elmore, who's an OBGYN and a medical doctor that has a phenomenal job taking care of so many and overseeing many in the military to make sure they have the best health care. So that fit in the program. Then
Mhm.
I have my own sister, Deborah Andrews Dawson, who is a retired registered nurse. And she worked the area rather from pediatric to hospice nursing. And I'm telling you, she is just phenomenal when it's dealing with loss and grief. You know, even when we went through with my family members, and I can see joining in with them and many others as well as I continue to grow and to get to know other people that have that same passion as I have to help others.
You are building a coalition. That's really what, let's call it what it is, Admiral. Why are we playing? It's the coalition. It is like a movement here, and I'm loving it. I'm here for it. And let me ask you, who or what inspires you to do what you're doing, to do what you've done?
Thank you so much, Nikita, for that question. Because when I think about it, there is one person in particular that inspired me, encouraged me, and prayed for me all along the way, and that's my dear mother. My mother, Electa Andrews, passed away um, in August of 2021.
Oh, I'm so
And I will
sorry.
tell you, while the sadness, of course, is missing her, but I have so many smiles and wonderful memories because of how I saw what she did.
Mm,
She was first in many things that she did in her community and county and working in law enforcement. And
mm,
I will tell you, I saw her courage, I saw her fortitude, I
wow.
saw how, and she was a short lady, so I saw how she didn't take any mess at all from anybody, you know, especially being in the South and certain
People stand
areas
up.
at a time.
Yeah.
So I got my support from her, but I know it's through her motivation, her prayers, whether spoken or unspoken, that kept me going throughout my journey. So I thank her today as my Chiron, as my Shiro, as my hero, as my
Mm,
motivator, because although I know she's in heaven and lived a very good life, I also know her spirit is also with me. And I see myself in her. You know how as we grow up, it's like, oh man, you don't want to do this like your mom, or you don't want to do
mm.
this like your dad. Well, I'm here to tell you at this day and time, I am so proud to have her and have had her in my life.
Wow. My Shiro, my Chiron, and my Shiro. You know, she is living through you because all the things that you're doing as a result of her, you are now doing for other people. You have been doing for other people throughout your whole career. And so that light shines through. And we're just so thankful for our moms, you know, those who have left us and those that are still here there. You know, you only get one, you know, as they
Yes.
say, and we just love them. And so let me ask you this because I know your mom probably gave you a lot of wonderful advice. My next question is about the best advice you've received and maybe some that's not so great.
You. As I think about what was the best advice I got from my mom, the words were, and it goes like this: a life worth living is a life worth serving.
Mm,
And I took that to heart. And at first, of course, as a child, when you hear it, it's like, I'm not sure. All the life I want is to play outside and to hang out with my friends and to
right.
do things. But as you mature and
Right.
as you grow, it means so much to me because I saw how she would sacrifice to make sure, she's able to take care of her family,
Mhm.
especially as a single parent to my sister and myself.
Mhm.
And also, I grew up in a very strong matriarchic family. My
Mhm.
great grandmother lived to be 105. Her
Wow.
daughter, my grandmother, 97. My mother lived in her 80s. And I will tell you, and when people asked me at one time, why'd you go into the military? I said, the military was easy to go into. Woo! Live in a house full of strong, determined Black women.
Like the military
Yes,
was a breeze.
it certainly was. Because it was like that was the chain of command that I had to
Ooh, the
handle each and every
chain
day. But it was just
of
really
command.
wonderful. And I think through that experience, it has made me who I am today. So those were really the great things that I've always learned, from my family and the encouragement through my family members. So when you talk about, let's say, bad advice, not given to me by family members, but I remember doing some things and working with others and people that I know, and they tell you, um, it's not your problem.
Mm.
It's not your problem.
Hmm.
Well, it may not be my problem, but however, if I have something that I think that would help people to engage or better themselves, then we help with the solution of it. If we have a solution, all we can do is make a recommendation. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean people may or may not follow it, but just don't sit on the sidelines and
Wow.
complain.
Wow.
Be a cheerleader and help with the solution.
Mm. Mm, that's powerful. Don't be on the sidelines as a complainer. If you had a chain of command, then you wouldn't be doing that.
Exactly. And I can was more than happy to share them with my family members because I've got a lot. And of course, growing up also in a Christian home,
Yeah.
my great grandmother, I think, at first I thought she was Moses, in the Bible with the many scriptures and things I would hear each and every day before going to school, after coming to school. But all of that made me who I am today. And I
Yeah.
am so blessed by that.
You said you thought she was Moses.
I thought she was, yes. I'm right there hearing
Admiral
about
Annie.
Pharaoh crossing in the water. I mean, everything.
I love it. I love it. You would not be you without that. We need that.
Yes.
We need more of it, honestly. Um, so we talked about a lot. But is there anything that we didn't discuss or we didn't kind of touch upon that you think would be especially important or that you'd like to share?
Thank you so much for asking that. I would say I will talk about the three A's that I have. And I consider them the three A's of what helped me to be the leader I was, and I hope can help other people. But I would say the three A's that helped me is being authentic. So, authenticity, I think, is important. Being yourself,
Mm.
not being what others want you to be, but be your truthful self when you're working and dealing with people, because people can really see right through that. Another is being approachable.
Mm.
You want people to be able to come and talk to you. Even if there's a bad situation or things not going the best way, you don't want them to go away or home or angry or do something. You want them to come and be able to talk to you. And that was one of the things I enjoyed doing, which is probably old school, and that's management by walking around. I know we can do a lot of things on the computer and we can text, but when you're in the workforce,
Mhm.
when you have the opportunity, go and see people. And I enjoyed doing that because it wasn't, and they were like, oh my gosh, she's coming around. And it's not that I was looking for what they were doing to work. I wanted to know about them, the
Yeah.
individual, the family members. What are they doing on the weekend? How can we help serve them better? And the last of that A, of course, is accountability.
Yes.
You have to be accountable. It's easy for people to, if something happens and it's not good, to blame others, but not be the responsible person. So
Mhm.
accountability is important to me. Whether my folks did good, bad, or different, I still am the person, that leader, that want to help them, show them better, and I take it upon myself to see what perhaps I could do better. And we learned from it because life is always about learning. So when I talk about listen, lead, and learn, that's also a part of that learning niche. So I gave the 3 A's, the 3 L's, and I'm sure I can go through the alphabet.
Speak up, sit up, and stand up.
And the 3 S's, yes.
I love that about being authentic, being accessible, approachable rather, and then being accountable.
Yes.
And you embody those things, honestly, because I've interviewed a lot of folks, but I have been particularly nervous about interviewing retired Rear Admiral Annie B. Andrews. And yet you have such a approachable demeanor given the level of excellence and achievement that is also a part of you. And so I thank you for that. And I thank you for being a part of Pivotal Moment. Where can people find you and follow you? Because they're going to want to after this and going forward. So where can we find you and follow you?
You can follow me and find me on the website at andrewsconsultingenterprise.com. That's andrewsconsultingenterprise.com. And I certainly look forward from hearing from people and how I can help them achieve their gift because they do have one.
And that is a wonderful note to end on. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We will include everything that, all the contact information for Admiral Annie in the show notes. You'll be able to contact her directly using the link below. So please make sure that you do. And thank you, of course, for listening to Pivotal Moment. You can find us on every place where you listen to your podcast. Please subscribe, download, and follow us. I'm your host, Nikita Poston. Thank you.